Good morning guys, welcome back to the channel and another driving video, but a driving video with a difference today, because today I'm going to have a little bit of a chat and a discussion about a topic which is quite controversial, especially amongst us petrol heads, and that topic is electrifying classics. What are your thoughts, guys and gals? What do you think? Is it a good thing to electrify classic cars, or is it a really bad thing? Now, I've always been along the opinion of a classic car is a classic car and it should be looked after and maintained and kept as it is for posterity. You know, we need to keep classic cars for future generations to be able to see and love and enjoy and appreciate. But I can also understand the argument for electrifying cars into the future as fuel starts to run low, supplies start to run out. It is going to be something that is going to be a genuine concern in decades to come. But that is also one of my points. You're talking about decades. I mean, how long, seriously, is petrol and diesel going to last for? You know, have we got 50 years worth of supply, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years worth of supply until it becomes a serious issue? I don't know. I mean, they're always finding new oil fields, and I'm sure with the size of planet Earth, they will find more oil fields in other parts of the world. You know, so is it really an issue that's going to affect us in our lifetime? Or is it going to be well beyond our lifetime? Now, I can understand if you live in the central London, or you live in one of these other big cities which are introducing ULEVs, you know, ultra low emission zones where they charge you a fortune to travel into city centres. That is a thing that is going to become more widespread over the next few decades, I'm sure. You know, they'll start to charge you for driving into city centres in any cars that produce more than a certain amount of emissions, or any emissions at all. So again, I can understand it if you live in the central London but you don't want to drive a boring modern day electric car. I can understand you wanting to convert a classic car to electric. But overall, I think it's a crying shame, because one of the whole, you know, things, one of the whole, you know, aspects of old classic cars is the fact that the different to modern day cars. You know, modern day cars are generally quiet, refined, generally boring. I mean, oh yeah, there are obviously the exceptions. There's the hot hatches and the high performance versions, and obviously supercars, and there's always going to be the exception, but generally speaking, most day-to-day cars are boring. Most day-to-day general cars are boring as hell. You know, as you guys who follow me regularly will know, I work in the car trade. I work at a car dealership. I deal with nearly new cars on a daily basis. And it's very extremely rare that I drive a modern day car that brings any kind of enjoyment or any kind of wow factor. Yeah, they're full of technology and they're fancy dashboards covered in TV screens and fancy electronics and all this jazz, but it just doesn't really interest me. You know, I'd much rather jump in the old Cavalier. Like at the moment, I'm driving Sylvia, which again, you guys who follow me regularly will know is my 1986 Vauxhall Cavalier. And you know, I'd much rather jump in this and drive home than any of them modern day cars. They just don't interest me at all. You drive one and it feels just like another. And this is one of the other things as well, it's like the whole driving experience. Now, if they brought out an EV with a manual gearbox, that might make it a bit more enjoyable. I mean, you know, a lot of high performance cars, they've got rid of manual boxes and they've gone to autos and dual clutch. Obviously, you know, they often have paddle shifts, so you can change gear manually with the paddle shifts, but it's just not the same as having a gated manual. You know, you look at older Lamborghinis and Ferraris and look at the ones which are worth more money, and the ones which are worth more money are the ones with gated manuals, you know, because they're so desirable to most petrol heads who want to have the proper driving experience. And if you put an electric motor into a classic car, that's another thing that you're losing. You're losing that manual gear change. So you're losing that feeling of dropping the clutch and moving the gear lever through the gears. And, you know, for me, that's part of the fun of driving. That's part of the fun of driving. So you take that away, along with the sound of the exhaust, and along with this, you know, any kind of induction roar, especially if you've got an older classic car that runs on carburetors, and you've got that induction roar sucking through even just one carburetor. But if you've got 2 or 3 or 6 carburetors, you know, that induction roar, it's intoxicating. You know, that's what a classic car should be all about. It's the whole experience. It's the jumping in and having that feeling, and the way, you know, some older cars, the engine, you know, it just produces an exhaust note that's totally different to anything modern, and it just can't be replicated. And you take all that away and chuck an electric motor in it, and you've taken away the car's soul. You've taken away the heart of the car and turned it into something that's, well, alright, it might be faster, it might be more reliable. You know, I suppose one disadvantage with some old cars, especially older ones that have points and traditional ignition systems, is that, you know, they're sometimes not that great at cold starting, and they're not that good at damp starting, and they have to be tuned on a regular basis, especially if you've got twin carbs or quad carbs or however many carbs you've got. It can be difficult to keep them in tune and keep them balanced and everything. So I suppose, you know, making it electric could make it more reliable. But let's face it, how many people genuinely daily drive old classics of that type? Very, very few people have one of those as a daily driver. Most of them, they'll only come out at a weekend to go to a car show, and they'll only come out in the summer. You know, they'll only come out in summer, go to a few car shows, and then get put away in the heated garage for the rest of the year. So in that case, what's the point in making them electric? Now, if anybody was going to make a car electric that'd make sense, it'd be somebody like me, who uses a retro car as a daily driver to get to and from work. You know, it'd make more sense for somebody like me to make their car electric, because I could charge it up every night, I could drive to work, still have the enjoyment of driving a retro car, but not have the worry of trying to find super unleaded, for example. Oh, I have to slow down because speed cameras are on at 60. There we go. I've been reading on Facebook, and this is what triggered this video. This is what made me decide to do this video this morning, because somebody had posted a link to a BBC News story talking about converting converting classic cars to electric, and a lot of the comments in the comment section were interesting to read, and it was interesting to see just how many people were supportive of converting classic cars to electric, and so many other people were mortified. They're like, you can't do that, you're destroying our heritage, you're destroying our classics. You know, you shouldn't be converting classic cars. Now, one argument was that it makes electric cars more interesting, and that is a good point, because there might be people out there who like the idea of who like the idea of owning an electric vehicle, but don't like modern cars. So buying a classic car that's converted to electric is a good way of them buying an EV that's more interesting. So I can understand that side of the argument. But then you think to yourself, well, why don't they make replicas? If somebody wants an EV that looks like a classic car, why doesn't a company start producing replicas but make them EVs? Make them as a kit car, or make them as a pre-built car that is a replica of a classic. I mean, look at MGs, for example. I think there is a company that is making MGs. There's a video on YouTube. I try to remember who posted it now, but there is a video somewhere on YouTube where he's test driving an MG that's electric, like an MGB, and I think that they are actually brand new cars using brand new shells and built as electric. Now that I've got nothing against. You know, if you want an EV and you want the looks and style of a classic car, then yeah, buy a replica that's built from scratch with an electric motor. That I'm wholeheartedly in favour of. You know, that is actually a great idea. It's like these companies that build complete body shells for Mark II Escorts and Mark I Escorts as well, I think. You know, building one of them brand new from scratch, powered by electric, yeah, that's actually a really cool idea. So you can have an EV that looks like a Mark I or Mark II what am I on about? Escort, but which, oh, he's just gone straight through a red light, idiot. Yeah, so yeah, I'm wholeheartedly in favour of that idea. You know, building classic car replicas as electric vehicles, that is an awesome idea. Because if you do want an EV, but you want something more interesting than a Nissan Leaf or any other electric vehicle you can think of, and you know, they're just there, then yeah. But what I'm just really not in favour of is converting existing classic cars into electric. I just think that is just, I don't know, I just think it's a shame. But I suppose as long as there are some original examples still out there, then there'll always be some for us enthusiasts to look at and enjoy. And if maybe a small percentage get converted to electric, then is it a major bad thing? I mean, I have to admit, I would, if I had the money to do it, I would be half interested to try it myself. Like I've got this Mark II Cavalier Sylvia, and I'd never for a second convert her to electric, but I have got my convertible. Now, would it be a cool idea and a cool project to convert my Mark II Cavalier convertible to electric and be the first electric powered Mark II Cavalier stroke Opel Ascona that I know of? You know, would that be something that people would think would be a cool idea or not? I have to be honest, I think definitely not. But the only reason I mention it is that, like, Sylvia's ultra reliable, and the other Cavalier Owen, which again, if you've watched the channel, you'll know Owen, and you will have seen the various videos of Owen. He's also ultra reliable. But my Cavalier convertible always struggles to start. I don't know what's wrong with the engine, it always struggles to start. It's the only one of my old cars that struggles to start. Every other one, if it's got a battery, if it's got fresh fuel, it will start and run spot on. But that one really struggles. So maybe that one, because the engine, I don't know, there's something wrong with it, would be an ideal candidate to convert to electric. What do you guys think? I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but I don't know. Anyway guys, with that thought, I think I will leave you for now. I'm just driving to work. Some of you have seen my driving to work videos before, will recognise the particular journey that I'm doing. It is my journey to work, and it's started to rain. So yeah, I'm going to keep the videos coming a bit more regular. I know I've been a little bit slow to upload things recently, and I've not been doing as many videos as often. That's partially because it's going dark early now, so by the time I get home there's not really a great deal I can do outside working on my cars. So unfortunately, working outside and getting work done on projects is slowed down a bit now. But I'm going to get a heater for my garage so that I can get in the garage and get some work done in the garage over the winter. Oh, it looks like I've got to work too early and nobody's here yet, apart from my mate Lee. So the gates are locked. So yeah, so I'm going to do some work over the winter. Try and do some on my Mark II Cavalier convertible, like I've just been talking about. I'm going to try and do some on my Nova as well, if I actually give myself the motivation to crack on and get some done. So, but I do need a heater in my garage, and I need some better lighting, and then I can do it. So anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you've not yet subscribed, please consider doing so and click the notification bell. There will be loads and loads of content to come. I'll be doing some more work on Sylvia. I need to do some MOT preparation work on Owen. Owen is now off the road and on Sown, so he's on the driveway, not taxed. I'm going to try and get Trevor my truck, my Frontera MOT next week, fingers crossed. Then I'll do some driving videos in him, and then I'll get him sold. He will be up for sale once he's done. So there'll be loads of updates, like on the Manta and everything else. So until then guys, I shall see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye.